So, yeah, comrade, game is up.
Yeah,
What is it
I'm
the
in.
Soviets used to say? Tovarish? Tovarishi?
Yeah, that's Russian for comrade.
Comrade or my friend or something. God, I don't
Yeah.
remember. I swear I've heard Hakeem use that phrase on his videos. But yeah, if you hadn't been available, I was probably gonna do start on my Hearts Iron 4 Japan non-aligned run. I probably would have ended up talking about at the beginning a little bit of a Marxist analysis of history, which probably would have pissed people off because I think part of the reason people like the non-aligned runs is it lets them completely ignore the political dimensions of World War II and just have good old-fashioned map painting.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, although it's a little close to our own era for that. It's just they want to do EU4 Crusader Kings, but with modern bombers.
Yeah.
um, and maybe some of them actually they maybe even
What
lean left. They just don't like the weakness of the Soviets, which they were
what
weak in
exactly
that.
is the difference between fascist and non-aligned Japan?
Non-aligned can do a non-aggression pact with China, although China will provoke the the communists can force Japan to get a war goal on them or take like a hit to
Oh
war
yeah.
support stability, which the, basically means like the AI will always choose and the player should too. But the AI will instantly use a war goal anyways. A player has the discipline to say, "I'll wait till this is about to expire, and I can, until the
Yeah.
timing is right." Especially because when Communist China does that, they form a faction with the nationalists. If they fight the nationalists, they don't do that. And
Uh
the nationalist Chinese also have a focus where they can provoke Japan, although that gives China a war goal, which the non-aggression pact can mean the war goal can't be used until the non-aggression pact is broken. So yeah, sorry. So I'm saying it doesn't always work that way, but if played right, especially by a player, you can have peace with China for a while,
yeah.
and you
It's
can
still
go
just
and
a monarchy though. Like either
uh,
way.
yeah, you're. I mean, well, so if you're fascist, you're like the fascist version of monarchism. You have like a
Yeah.
military junta of generals, and the monarch here, was kind of sidelined. So even though he didn't want to go
Uh
to war with Japan, sorry, with China, his generals they did the whole Marco Polo Bridge incident. Like, they forced the war, and then they did all sorts of like horrible massacres because the generals were just free to kill whoever they wanted or whatever. Non-aligned represents more of like a faction of loyalists taking back power in the government from the like fascist generals and putting the emperor back directly in charge if you take the Showa restoration path
yeah.
or going shogunate, though I'm not sure how that makes any sense. Their shogunate some path is too much like the fascist one. I don't understand it. Either
Mm.
way, what the non-aligned one is about is attacking the Soviets instead of China, or right away, and then you can deal with China later. It's a question of China first or Russia first, Soviets first. But yeah, I was saying I don't think people like playing like the Soviets because they're weak at the beginning. A lot of the communist paths require like a civil war,
Yeah.
so it just doesn't go to a lot of. And there's no games that like the period when the Soviets are really strong is after World War II. Is the it's the Cold War where they were a legitimate superpower, but there are no good
Yeah.
games that like allow you to like map painters successfully experience that. The only game I've ever played
Yeah.
that had a good like Cold War was Rise of Nations, which I got the extended edition. I mean, it's kind of hard the Conquer the World campaign, so I've been practicing on
Mm.
generic ones. I'm gonna eventually do their Cold War one, which is
Yeah.
uh, and I think
Paradox
I'm.
really needs to make a Cold War game sometime.
Oh, don't expect him to touch that with a 20-foot stick. It's too
Yeah.
controversial, air quote controversial. Really, all right. I mean, they are very much they lean right for Sweden. I mean, they may be considered even left leaning by global standards, but by the standards of Sweden, they're a right leaning entity.
Yeah. Well, they're a corporation.
Yeah, I mean, Sweden. I've told people, in fact, if anyone watched my latest political video, I talked about this. Sweden used to have the highest level. Oh, yeah, I was trying to figure out whose turn it was. and stuff. I was gonna go watch
Oh,
the latest video to figure out what we've been up to right before I saved. It
I
looks
think
like it's
it's your
my
turn.
turn. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't know what I was doing. So give me a sec. I'm
Let's
talking, but
see.
I'm also trying to figure out what I was up to.
Oh,
It looks
you might have been about to fight the mammoth.
it looks like I've moved a lot of my armies. Yeah, I think there's my armies do look like they're gathered around the mammoths. No, I was gonna do that next turn because I still had one more unit to bring into the stack.
Okay.
So I think there was a fight, but it wasn't the mammoth this turn. So give me a sec while
Mm,
I look around. But I'm also idle banter. So what was I saying a second ago?
Sweden paradox.
Oh, so Sweden, during the Cold War, I was talking about this actually in one of my political video. People sit there. I think I said this in a video, and I said in response to a comment to some guy. It was like, "Oh, I'm worried about China becoming what was it, a perverted form of socialism like the Soviet Union." That's what the guy said. He's probably some Trotskyite or anarchist or just a CIA troll. Who knows what he really was? You never know who's people on the internet, but probably just a anarchist, which at one time I went through an anarchist phase myself when, as I was starting to move away from capitalism, like kind of libertarian socialist to call myself, and I was like
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders. I was very cringe. I went through that phase, so maybe that guy's just in that point is. But I was explaining to him like. Look, you can tell the Soviets weren't as bad as the CIA propaganda says because they had the second highest level of income equality in the world, like in wealth equality. They were the second most equal country in the world, but the most equal country was Sweden, which was, capitalist
Yeah.
social democracy. At that time, in the selected time point I was looking at was like 1970 or 72, right before the Nixon got rid of the Bretton Woods economic system and completely changed the world economic order and all the patterns of like wealth and everything changed after Bretton Woods. But just before it, Sweden was the most equal country in the world. It's not anymore. In fact, Belgium, the Netherlands, I think even France are all more equal than Sweden at this point. Sweden is the whole world is seeing rising income equality and wealth inequality, but Sweden is outpacing the rest, and it's going from what was once the most equal country in the world to rapidly becoming like middle of the pack. Um,
Yeah.
which is to say, they've abandoned. They very nearly went socialism via reformist means with like this path to nationalize industries, and then they've gone right. And so Paradox is kind of, and of course this is topical because Paradox bought Age of Wonder, the Triumph Studios made Age of Wonders 3, and they made Age of Wonders
Yeah.
4. Although they had very little impact on this game because the game was already finished by the time they bought it. Like development was, it was about to be released.
Age of
That
Wonders
happens
4 or 3.
3. It happens a lot. Some big
Okay.
studio buys a smaller studio right before they release a game because their finances are tightest then. Like
Yeah.
Sega bought Creative Assembly right before they released Rome Total War Barbarian Invasion, for instance, but they had no
Ah.
impact on making that expansion pack for Rome Total War, thankfully.
Yeah.
Paradox bought Triumph Studios right before Age of Wonders 3, and both of these were really good games that were well received. So it was, smart to buy the studios at that point. But of course, in both cases, the sequels, like the next game that Creative Assembly made after was Medieval Total War 2, which was all right. It was based on the Rome engine. It wasn't amazing. It was already in development when they bought it because they'd already finished Barbarian Invasion, which started on that. But the first game they really made was Empire Total War, and that was a total flop. And then
Mm.
they made a Rome 2, and that was an even worse flop. Like Sega completely fucked up the Total War brand, and it very nearly died until they ended up doing Warhammer, and then they bought it. They figured out that these Warhammer geeks love the IP so much that they'll overlook shoddy quality, kind of like how you can sell really bad Star Wars games because the Star Wars IP is worth so much and people like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And there have been so many terrible Star Wars games. There have been so many terrible Warhammer games, so not as many as Star Wars, but Creative Assembly managed to survive through that, and Total War games have started to get better again. But Paradox isn't as bad as Sega, obviously, but yeah, they bought this franchise, and Age of Wonders 4 is a lot worse than 3. So,
Yeah. Huh? 'Cause I Just 'cause I thought so. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna pause this for a sec, folks on YouTube. So yeah, sorry that people talking about real life people and privacy. So folks, I cut the stream there for a sec. Looks like I didn't have anything left to do. I was just waiting for well, not wait for. I was just but I was just gonna end the turn, and Joe was gonna get attacked, and so I think we saved it here because this is the last place I could reliably save. Uh, yeah, I need some mana. I think I made a proposal to you, Joe. For mana. Um,
Yeah. I don't see one.
yeah, it'll won't show up until the beginning of your turn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the strategic map. I have Fairfields and Ursfor as vassals in Tungale, and yeah, I was gonna east of Tungale was probably gonna build some forts. And that's gonna be probably the direction I expand. It'll be close to the enemy, to the goblins at least, who are probably in the southeast corner of the map, and so I expect I'll get attacked there eventually. Um,
Yeah.
there was something on the verge of my mind. I think it had to do with the vassals. Oh, it does indirectly. Yeah. Where did you find your race governance levels again? Was it by clicking on the portraits?
Overview panel.
Oh, it was the
Yeah.
overview.
Yeah. Under population, yeah. Under population, you'll see it.
Ah, okay. I wanted to check because I have been gaining race governance. I wanted to see if I was specializing. Uh, okay. I gave the halflings military one because I'm not super fond. I'm not a one-time discount on storehouses isn't great unless you start as the halflings. But I was probably going to specialize the
Oh,
halflings
yeah.
in a civilian direction, so I was going to go economic from there on else. Ah, halflings love lucky clover fields. Are there any lucky
Oh.
clover fields near Fairfields? I don't think there are. I think the only clover field is that we've spotted is the ones down um
Archons.
by the archons.
Yeah, by Verali. I mean, it's in the blight, so you're not gonna make good use of it.
Facilis. Oh
Hmm?
yeah, there's another one down by Virali. That's true. I was
Yeah,
thinking
but
that there was the one south of Valsuriel. There's
yeah, there's that one as well.
yeah. So okay, so I might not, since they're probably not going to get access to any lucky Cloverfields. Halfling
Yeah,
champion military.
unfortunately.
Eagle Riders are very lucky. Well, no, you can actually migrate cities eventually. Now I think of it, and if you just stick a
Oh, you think I could put a halfling city here?
well, if you put a fort on the lake, on the shores of that lake, just to save the spot, anyways.
Yeah,
Like we're
which I plan to
talking
do.
to the northwest of the Cloverfield, because when it's a stone fort, it can have all the melons that way.
Yeah.
Too, and you probably want a stone fort anyways, because it's on the edge of the blight and it's closer to the goblins. So if a
Oh,
goblin
yeah.
army shows up, they're gonna attack that fort before almost anywhere
Mm,
else.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that forts are for two things. They're
How
for
how do
saving
I migrate
cities.
halflings there? I have to
You'd
get
have
a halfling city first, right?
you'd have to yeah you'd have to get halfling sea first, and then you'd have to replace the race that you had settled there previously. So I'm
Okay.
saying it could be done, but that will piss off the race you like
Yeah,
essentially
the one that I
ethically
settled it.
cleanse.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty
So
much.
maybe just better to wait. Maybe I could sell you the city of Fairfields at
That's,
some point after I
or
annex them.
easier than that is I could just give you a bunch of money, and then you can use it to train a settler, settle that city for me, and then trade me the city.
Well, I can't sell the city for you if you have a fort there. I don't
Oh,
think
you're
you can
right.
sell me. I don't
Yeah,
think you can sell me forts. You can sell me cities, but I don't think there was a way to sell
yeah.
forts.
I think you're
which
right.
is silly
Shoot.
because forts don't have a population. They should be easier to sell if anything.
Yeah. Huh.
But
That
I could
sucks.
double
Oh
check
well.
that next time I can send you, or you could check on your turn, see if you can buy. If there's four things listed instead of two, that means you can buy forts from me. So if which means I could buy
I
it
think
from
it's
you.
just cities. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'll double check.
yeah. You double check because if you could sell me the fort, you could just sell me the fort at some point, and I'll settle some halflings there. Um,
Yeah.
because they get
Yeah. I
really
guess.
nice bonuses from Lucky Clover.
I guess
Uh,
the probably easier way to do it is to just have you settle a halfling city somewhere for me to buy somewhere without a fort. That are well, if if you if you sell Fairfields, does that change anything? Like you don't lose any buildings when cities change hands, do they?
when cities change, I don't think you lose any buildings. No, it's not like, oh
Okay.
God, what game did you always lose buildings when you changed?
I swear Civ would do
Civ?
that.
Yeah, it would. It would in
Yeah.
Civ 4 if you sold the city, which the AI would never say cities, but if you sold them a city, or I think, or maybe you could. In Civ 4, I think they would
Mm,
actually sell you cities. It was a later one, so they disabled that. But yeah,
I
if
don't
you
know.
bought a city or
I
in
know
Civ
there's
or a
like
core,
occupation in
or
some
you,
civs as well.
yeah, and if
You'll
you
occupy the
settled a
city for a
city,
period.
yeah, there was occupation that was resistance. But if you conquered a city, like most of the buildings would disappear, and it was annoying as heck.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was.
conquering, I guess it makes sense because there's battle, but trading shouldn't do that. That's kind of
I think
weird.
it's more along the lines of looting and pillaging. See, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, people are
Yeah.
gonna loot and pillage it, but they're not gonna burn down the freaking granary. They should have just maybe had the population decrease, which I
Yeah.
think
It
they
should
didn't want
probably.
it. I think they got rid of that in Civ 4 because they were worried about people like war crimes, but it was always a thing like Civ 2 and Civ 3 and Alpha
I think
Centauri.
it
If you,
still happens.
yeah, I think a
I
city would
remember it
lose
happening
one
in Civ
pop.
5. Yeah, when you
Uh,
usually you lose a couple population. But yeah, there's no negatives to trading cities in this, or do you not know for certain? For certain.
um, I don't know. I've never done it, but yeah, you
Okay.
can if you can sell me the fort, and even if not, I could sell you Fairfields, and you could build a halfling settler,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I think that would work. I'm
yeah,
just worried that I'd screw up Fairfields by doing that.
no, I mean they don't have anything right now. Really, they've just been a vassal this time, and I haven't bothered
Yeah.
integrating them because it's
Oh,
not.
that's true. They don't have buildings. Huh.
Yeah, I mean they may have one. Somehow Miss Dale had that laboratory, so maybe they
Yeah,
very
that's
rarely
true.
build something, but I doubt it screws anything up. Speaking of which, Miss Dale, you can
Mm.
build a
Oh,
bunch of frosting seas out there in the Arctic. I think they like.
oh, yeah, that's true. I wait. I can't build settlers in Mistdale. Do I need a building for that?
Yes, you do.
Oh, the builders hall.
Yeah,
Right.
once you build a builder's hall, you can build settlers. They're expensive
Oh, I
anyways. You probably
forgot.
wouldn't want to build them without because it would take too many turns.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. A lot of production.
yeah, but you got a lot of great places to build dwarven and frosting seas in the Northeast, and yeah, I'll
Yeah.
eventually expand to the northwest corner of the map near Fairfields, but there's like eldritch animals, and I haven't explored
Mm.
all of the like areas. I'm starting to explore that way. I have my necromancer. Um,
Yeah.
what did she? Yeah, she's exploring in a different direction though. She backtracked a little after scouting ahead of the army, but yeah, um, it's dangerous in that direction. There's like brigands and eldritch animals. Um, So yeah, I was gonna expand more towards like south into the center of the map, since you'll be grabbing a huge area to the northeast, and I'll need some room to expand.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. At some point, I've also got to annex Galbrand because I'll need dwarven cities in certain places.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't want any of your tropical land anyway.
yeah.
Elves hate
Well,
it over
your
there.
yeah, your elves don't like it, and neither do your frostlings. Your
I guess
dwarves
I
don't.
could put. Yeah, I
Or
could
no,
put a dwarven city up in this tropical area
actually, I
up in the
think
mountains.
dwarves hate the tropics too. Now
Do
that I think
they?
about it. Yep.
Hmm.
Dislikes tropical. All your
Oh,
races
really?
don't like. None of your races like tropical terrain.
Yeah. So you can, unless I mean, actually, I wouldn't mind if you settled like a city, across from
I might settle
across
across.
that bridge between us, and then I
Yeah,
could buy that. So I could get a Tiger City.
yeah, you could get a tyrant that way, or I could
Although I
just
don't
have
know.
cities there because as a gray guard, I get extra money from my cities anyhow, so it
Oh
might be
yeah, that's
better if
true.
I just. But there's nothing there. There's no treasure sites,
Yeah,
so it's a low priority for me to
yeah,
sell that area. And
yeah.
everything that's not tropical,
That's true.
like east of where the tropical area breaks off, you probably settle. So
Yeah,
plus, there's
that
that cave
small portion.
entrance there, which I guess
Yeah,
is
that's not
actually
a bad
near.
place for a dwarven city, right next to that cave entrance.
Well, no, I was gonna say, yeah, east of there you can sell, but I was gonna say that cave entrance I'll have to defend like against. I'll have to worry about stuff
Right.
coming up from the
Yeah.
caves. But I guess I will have Galbrand, and that'll just protect the cave
Oh,
entrance.
that's true. Galbrand is right next to the.
Yeah,
So yeah, anything would have to sneak past Galbrand anyway.
yeah, and then I was eventually gonna get a dwarven settler and settle it north of my capital on that little edge of the mountains, just as a filler. I
Yeah.
already started building a road that way, so that later when I'll have to build a. What I'm going to end up doing is my capital's going to grow, and then I'm going to build a settler, which will cause it to shrink just small enough to build a fort in that area. Um, I might I might turn the dense vegetation if I've gained the ability to sow salt into barrens, so that the city will be built on the fort will be built on barrens terrain because I'll probably garrison it not with dwarves but with tigrants, just because I have big tyrants nearby.
Yeah.
And the Dwarven Sea will be tiny for a long time, so it won't be able to produce much of many very good units. Sorry, okay. Folks in YouTube must be in 21 minutes and we haven't done anything, so I'm going to end the turn.
Yeah. Let's start doing stuff.
Strategies, yeah. It takes a while for me to reorient myself and figure out what.
Yeah.
And these are all kind of things I was thinking.
Do you think I
But
would
my,
benefit from any Tigran cities anyway? Like, I guess maybe Sun Guards would be helpful. Yeah, they attack me. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think Sun Guards are better pikemen than mine?
oh, no, no. They're more cost effective, they're cheaper. Your
Oh yeah.
pikemen and dwarven pikemen are both tier 2 units, if I remember, which they cost
Oh,
twice as
okay.
much to upkeep. They're actually
Yeah.
better units, but they're not that much better than the Sun Guards, and they cost twice as much. So
Okay.
I like the
So
Sun
it could
Guards
be
because they're
beneficial.
really cost effective tier 1 pikemen. Sorry, what were you saying?
So it could be beneficial for me to get one Tigran city.
No. No.
No?
Uh, early game tier 1 pikes, but eventually you're going to need the tier 2 units because, as they level up, they
Okay.
gain more stats.
Yeah.
Tier 1 units eventually become like for a while they're the mainstay of your army, and then they're like still reasonable camp fodder, but eventually they become so weak they're useless, and you need most of your army to be tier 2 units and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Tier 2 eventually become the backbone or at least the cannon fodder of your army, whereas tier 3 and 4 are the better units. um
Okay.
like we're in the early game, and it'll take a long time to evolve that far. It's just like my brain's still on Heart's Iron because I've been thinking through a strategy with that. Like you build ships that may be the mainstay of your fleet for a while, and then they're cheap cannon fodder, and then they're irrelevant because they become so outdated.
Yeah.
And not worth the oil, or at least or you stick them on strike forces just for naval supremacy. Like I was figuring out my naval strategies to Japan because Japan has really limited access to oil unless they import it, and they're importing it from potential rivals unless they like conquer the East Indies. Non-aligned Japan tries to avoid war with the Allies, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means I may still have stable access to like American and
Mm.
Dutch oil for a long time. Because my enemy would be the Soviets. I won't obviously be able to get. They don't have much of a fleet to intercept like oil shipments overseas from the Netherlands, or there may even be a land route there. Because the way, or actually directly from the East Indies,
Could
I
I
think you
move
can
up to these
import.
rocks?
Um, oh, I don't even know what unit you're talking about moving.
Oh, my
Uh,
Longbowman.
uh, I would try and your Storm Sister is kind of vulnerable there.
Yeah.
I should probably get in the habit of. letting you just figure more stuff out because I'm micromanaging your combat. But yeah,
That's
you
true.
definitely. I would
Bring her
definitely
down to the
try.
south.
What?
Should I bring her down south to these rocks?
Oh yeah, your thing is entirely turned around. Okay, for
Right.
her it's south. Yeah, I would try and
She's
yeah,
up at the top for me.
top left for you.
Yeah, I have her in the top left, the soul's in the top right, and bottom middle is my rest of my army.
Okay, yeah, I just rotate my camera so I'm looking at it from the same angle you are. Yeah, I would probably bring her to like back left and just gather your army into a defensive posture there because they're gonna probably rush you since they're on the attack. So you're gonna, but you don't want the Storm Sister to get
Left?
swarmed by 3 lost souls or she'll die.
You want her
What?
to run away?
Yeah, I would basically ever like have your whole
Assist her?
army. Yeah, and I would gather your whole army there into like a defensive
Uh,
stance and then shoot them as they get closer. Kind of thing.
okay.
But yeah, I was figuring out the Japanese strategy. I didn't want to become. Uh, you do actually. There is some oil fields on South Sakhalin Island, which I guess that explains why. I never understood why that island was so like controversial between the Japanese and the Soviets historically and in the
Oh,
game
Stuck
because it
Island?
doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nobody lives there.
Yeah, I
There's
know
no
they.
industry.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's an empty piece of land, but actually there's oil under it. That's why. And so you can
Okay.
develop the oil fields once you have the tech and if you invest some industry in the game. The AI normally doesn't do it, and I guess historically those oil fields haven't been developed yet really either, very much. So, let's see. The Lost Souls can move 4 tiles. Uh, yeah, so that's yeah, the Longbowman's probably in a good spot there. I wouldn't get any closer on that. Might even want it. You have 2 Longbowmen. Yeah, the other one's gonna struggle in the initiate to like line up behind those rocks before the Lost Souls reach them because they can go incorporeal, so they can move through the rocks.
Yeah. Should I just
Past
stick my reed serpent in the way so that they
or
go
no,
for it first?
or they're floating. Actually, I'm not sure that they can pass through walls. I'm not sure if they can move through the. Maybe only flying units can move over the rocks. What were you saying?
Oh, they have blight protection. Should I just sacrifice my reed serpent essentially because he won't be able to do anything here?
They're immune to blight.
Yeah.
I mean, it can still like do some melee damage.
Yeah.
Not much because I think these things also have physical resistance.
Yeah.
Yep.
60%.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, like I said, I would gather your whole army defensively over near where the Storm Sister is, because they're gonna reach you very quickly, and you have all these ranged units.
Yeah.
So,
Should I move my penguin next to the archers,
uh, maybe a
or should
little.
I put my leader through there first before I cut them off?
What's gonna probably happen is they're gonna move around on the through the right side of the map, and you're
Yeah.
you're gonna struggle to get your units. So I would probably put
So
the.
should I block with the penguins to the
Yeah, I
right?
would I would use the penguins and the reed serpents bolt to block the right side approach while you try and flank them around with all your ranged units from the left. You know,
Okay.
so they'll rush into melee with their melee units, and your
So
ranged units
penguin
can all.
here.
Yep, I definitely wouldn't get any closer than that.
That's a
With
good spot
the
for my
penguin,
reed serpent, or should I put him next to the penguin?
I would move it closer because you may end up like
Close to the
having
penguin
the
or closer to that bush?
closer to the Lost Souls because the Lost Souls when they close, if one of them
Right
goes
here?
further forward than the rest, the Reed Serpent can try and move around and set flanking for the Penguin. So,
Oh, right.
or for the archers or something. Even if a unit
And
doesn't do
then
hardly any damage, it can still set up flanking for something that does. That's always
have
important
the
to remember.
initiate keep running north.
Hold on, your
Okay.
volume got really. I turned up a little, or the game total volume, but I could barely hear you there.
So now my initiate should go up here with the longbowman and the storm sisters.
Mm-hmm. Just I'm letting you figure it out
And
because I feel like it's past time I stopped telling you what to do.
yeah, Yeah.
Uh, I don't know how much I want to risk distracting you though.
Hmm.
You could,
Just trying to think. Should I put the bard behind these rocks as well?
the
So she
bard's
can
got a
get some
ton of
shots off?
health, and she's a hero, so she heals quick, and she's actually decent
Yeah.
in melee, even if she's better with flanking.
So should
What I'm
I go around and block the other side of this archer in case they do go left, or should I have her
uh,
stick wins and
let's
read
see.
servants?
She can move like 6 tiles, right?
Yeah. Actually, she might be able to get 2 shots off this turn if she moves up to this rock and then shoots that nearest lock soul. Let me count. One,
Uh,
two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four. Yeah, I think she can hit one of the lost souls this turn for 2 shots.
I mean, she might, but a general rule of thumb is if she can shoot them, they can reach her in
They
melee.
actually
And
can't. They actually can't reach her because of the rock,
oh, well, I
unless they
think
teleport.
no, I was thinking they might be able to just fly right over the rocks. I'm not sure if floating units
Hmm.
can do that. It's been a while.
They can't float on the rocks and hit her, right? They'd have to go over the rocks.
Yes.
Then I don't think they can hit her.
Oh, she can get right behind the. Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Well,
Should I
no.
give that a try?
1, 2, 3. They can only move 4 tiles. So yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, you could because they can't stand on the rocks. They can't end their turn on. Even flying units can't do that.
Okay. Sweet.
So yeah. So yeah, you could take a couple shots if you want.
All right.
I was
All right.
gonna.
Let's see.
It's
Two
probably
to
smarter.
three twice, or 3 to 4 twice. Oh, good. They have fire weakness.
Yep.
All right. I'll shoot the acid darts.
Yep.
Nope. Wrong button. There we go.
Well, only 6 damage, but still weakened. Given that they're gonna move up pretty aggressively now, especially after you did that,
Yeah.
maybe you actually have the other longbowmen just come up the right side because it'll be able to get flanking if they get to melee that way. So like
Like
to
move
the
in a
right of
straight line to the right,
the
or
no, because if they actually try and close on it, I would
oh,
put them like
move right of the reed serpent, or left of the
no,
reed
a little
serpent.
further right than that, like maybe to the right northeast of the bush, to the right and a little in front of the bush. So like same position relative to the bush that the reed serpent is, but on the right side maybe. That's a fairly conservative deployment, so 3 tiles forward. Something like
Right here.
that. Yeah. Like something like there, or 1 tile forward of that. I don't know. The longbowman can always run away if they get too close, I suppose. So yeah, you could
What
probably
do you mean
go
by 1 tile forward?
1 tile more towards the lost souls, and that actually might work. Because
So
even if
moving
they,
away from the bush.
yeah, because even if they like, yeah, even if they race towards the longbowman, she can always run away, and they waste movement chasing fleeing unit,
Okay.
that they can't reach because your longbowman is just as mobile as they are. I
All
think
right.
that's
Let's
thanks
see.
to your. You already got long strider upgrade or not
Oh,
yet?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm still researching it.
Oh yeah. So then when your longbowman will actually get faster once you get it. They'll be able to move 5 instead of 4 tiles on the tactical map with it, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think they have 32 movement with long strider, which is 5
Ooh.
tiles, and since it's
They
6 per.
these longbowmen do not do much damage.
No, because of the physical protection.
Yeah.
And they're all in defensive mode. Uh, well, this is probably a chance to skirmish them, to fall back and make them chase you and make them melee like attack units that are on guard. That none of them have guard breaker, so like they can reach the
Oh yeah.
tiles. They can't
So
go any
like fall
further.
back just out of range and guard with all my units.
I don't even know about just out of range, but at least I would probably. I'm thinking about this. I would probably pull the reed serpents back a couple tiles to behind the bush, or just a straight line back away from 2 tiles back. And the longbowmen and the penguins like just move everything back some, and the Shira can still be in the lead. Though I'd probably have her fall back too, maybe shoot.
Right here?
Yeah, and just guard. Um, because they might, the other Lost Souls might try and reach that longbowman. I'd have the longbowman, in order to be out of range of melee, it probably needs to fall back 3 tiles to away from that Lost Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because the Reed Serpent is just out of their melee range. Like, they can't reach it this turn, so that should give you an idea of, yeah. And then if it guards, probably the Dire Penguin will need to fall back some too, otherwise they'll reach it in melee. A couple tiles back. Or maybe,
I
you
don't
know,
want them to reach it.
it wouldn't be terrible, I guess. You probably don't
Could
want
I
it
have it
to.
so just one of them reaches it?
Yeah, that might be good. Maybe have it. Well, yeah, I would have it fall 1 tile back then in a straight line away, because that way they'll have trouble reaching it with much movement. Just guard there.
Yeah. And then this longbowman can move to the right, and then I believe he'll be able to get 3 shots on a Lost Soul without getting attacked, because he'll have to go through the penguin to get the longbowman.
Yeah, I'm not. Let's see.
Right?
Yeah, because they can't end their turn on the rocks. So yeah, if it moves if it moves 2 tiles to the right, or even,
Oh
well, one,
wait,
two.
no, they can just go over the rocks. Shoot, never
Can
mind.
they? I'm not
They,
sure if they can.
yeah,
It says
yeah,
they
I can
can.
see it in the movement indicator. They can just go over the rocks.
Oh,
So
okay. I was worried they could do that. Well,
scratch
if it
that.
goes 2 tiles to the right, then there won't be a valid tile for them to end their turn on, even if they go over the rocks, unless they go next to the penguin, at which point they'll get flanked and killed very easy. So I'd probably move the longbowman 2 tiles to the right and shoot over the rocks at one of the Lost Souls.
But can't they kill it? Because it won't. It won't be in guard mode.
The longbowman? No, not
Yeah.
after you wean their numbers a little bit here. You'll see what I mean. And actually, you can block
All
the
right.
tile, so they can't reach the longbowman by putting the initiate on that tile. So I'd move the
Oh,
longbowman to.
if I just put the initiate there, then yeah,
Then
you're
they
right.
can't
That
move
will.
there. They might
Okay.
attack the initiate, but the initiate can be in guard mode, so it'll be fine.
And then put the initiate right next to it to stop them from hitting it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And your longbowman might even be able to kill the one that's at 10 health
Ooh,
if it
initiate
shoots
can
it.
act. Oh, should the initiate guard or take a shot? Because they actually do 5 to 7 damage.
I would. Let's see.
Longbowman might be able to kill the weakened Lost Soul already. It
Yeah,
does 4 to
I
6
would
twice.
try that
Right.
once, since you probably want Shira to fall back and they'll have cover from anyone else.
Okay.
So
Let's
yeah,
try. Let's see if it dies. Oh, nice.
nice. And then
Okay.
let's see.
Could use my
5.
initiate to weaken this other Lost Soul.
Well, how much damage would the Lost Soul do if it meleeed the initiate right now?
Let's see. 3
Because
to
I
5
just once.
twice. So actually, that would be 6 to 10.
That's
I
not
can
terrible.
take that.
In it, yeah. Hmm.
And actually, Shira could just kill this second Lost Soul. So
I would just put
it
the initiate in
won't be
guard
able to.
mode, because if they hold on, put it in guard mode and see what happens, because then it gets retaliations. If they
1 to
now,
3 damage.
and what does the initiate do in retaliation? Does it tell you?
No information on that I can see.
Well, it should retaliate. If it's tapped twice, it should hit back twice. And the initiate actually does more damage in melee than ranged. So
Do I just look at their melee damage? Why can't I see melee damage? Just because I can't reach the target. It should still tell me what it would be. That's really
Well,
dumb.
you can actually calculate it. If it's 10-10, then it should do an average of 10 damage with each hit because any
It's
defense or
5/5.
yeah, no, I'm saying if the enemy defenses are 10-10. Sorry, I didn't specify. They have 10
Oh,
defense and 10
sorry.
resistance. That means everything just does the what it says on the tin for damage.
Okay.
Every
So
defense
then
over
it's
10 decreases melee damage, physical damage by 1. Every resistance over 10 decreases magical damage by 1, right? And there's a little
and
bit of variance. It's centered.
5
But
physical, 5 lightning, but there's physical resistance, so it's more like what, 2 physical, 5 lightning?
yes, twice. So it should there's a variance, so it could even do more. So it could kill the Lost Soul just with 2 retaliation hits. And if it doesn't, the Lost Soul will have like 2 HP left.
Yeah.
And that's if they decide to even, race the initiate. Because it's in guard mode, they might decide they'd rather focus on Shira, who you
Okay.
could probably have fall back and fire acid darts at the one that might reach them in melee. Because that's the only.
They can both reach Shira. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine. Oh.
Well, if she falls back, I'm saying, like, because they can do less attacks the further they
I don't know.
moved.
I don't think she can fall back on to the right.
Hmm?
Fall back where? Like
Like
where would she fall
in
back?
a straight line, she'll lose attacks, but they'll have both of them will lose attacks too. She loses. You
She
remember,
can only
there's
fall
two.
back 2 tiles and still make the shot. Is that
Yeah,
fine?
yeah, but they'll each
Okay.
lose 1 attack because so
Right. Okay.
she'll take 2 fewer attacks and she'll only lose 1 attack this way. That's the
So
kind of
right
thing I'm
here,
saying. Yeah,
and then shoot the left one.
probably because that's the one that would probably melee your initiate, maybe.
Yeah, the other one can only melee her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it. Oh, she got 3. Nice.
The
'Cause
initiate can kill it outright.
yeah,
Now that
if
it's at
it
health.
yeah, if it attacks initiate, it'll get 1 hit on the initiate, and the initiate will kill it with the retaliation. So.
Do I? Why not
Oh,
just
you're
kill with the
saying
range
it.
attack?
Oh, with the range attack. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
smart.
5 to 7.
Yeah, you
That way I
rolled
don't
well
take the
on.
damage.
Yeah, you rolled well on the Astars. Yeah, you should just kill it outright.
Sweet. Oh, they got a is that a level up?
No, that was a crit. That they rolled a
Oh,
crit.
okay. I see.
I think they might have leveled up as well. Were they veterans before? But that
I
was
think so.
oh no, but they rolled a crit. That's all
Okay,
that
cool.
was. The little smiley
And
face. That
then I guess I might as well have the Storm Sister group up with the rest of them. So I'll just move her to the right.
yeah, she didn't even get to, didn't close yet. Oh
Yeah.
well. The worst they can do is hit Shura once in melee, and then you can even fall further back and just kill them with range units at that point or something. If it goes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so they can definitely float over rocks.
All right. Now I can just shoot her till she's dead. Should be simple.
Yeah, or you could make it turn away from Shira, and then she could kill it with a flanking, like a backstab, if you really wanted to give her XP or something. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do.
Oh, actually, she does need 4 XP to level up.
Yeah, if you wanted to level her up now, you could have the longbowman on the right set up flanking by having it move like 4 tiles and shoot it once. And when it turns to face the longbowman, then Shira can just kill it with a backstab.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
So like here.
Yep, that will set flanking there. Although I'm trying to think if there's anyone else you want to give XP, like taking target practice first.
Oh, let's see.
Such a min-maxer. The longbowman on the left could use some XP too. It's only 5 XP from a lamp.
Might kill it though. Longbowman will do 6 to 8 damage because it's already flanking, and she only has 9 health. The Lost Soul.
Yeah.
But they, it,
Wait.
them.
Do they what?
what I said she, and it's like 7 people. They, I guess.
Yeah, you could have it fall further back so that it suffers line of sight and penalties, and then it will do less damage and have fewer attacks. If you want to get a little XP of the longbowman and give some to share as well. So have it like the longbowman I think would only be able to do one attack with a line of sight penalty or something, but it could, or maybe two. But that's a way to divide up the XP more evenly because Shira gains 1 XP every turn passively, so she'll still level up on her own, and the longbowman
Yeah.
won't. So, um, but the longbowman reaches expert, gets extra range strength and
Oh
hit
yeah,
points.
this longbowman is pretty close to leveling up. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
I might have it. Uh, huh, interesting. Uh, hmm. All right, I'm just gonna the sheer level up on I would probably hit it once with the longbowman that is flanking. That shouldn't kill it unless it gets a crit, and then have the other longbowman finish it because that'll give all the XP to the
Yeah.
longbowmen who are badasses. And I don't know. I love elven longbowmen. They're really good,
Yeah. So you
and
think I
there
should
aren't.
finish it with the longbowman? Just
Yep,
kill it outright. All right. Yeah, I can do that. That works.
they're not as fast moving as hunters, but they're still pretty good in the field.
Yeah.
And they do have armor, which the hunters lack. So even though speed is armor, you know, armor is armor, obviously too. Yeah, no, they're both experts.
All right. Oh, Miss Dale's a town now. Sweet. Let's transform that node. There
Near
we go.
Mist
41 mana per turn. I'm finally making mana.
over at Mistdale.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, let me save it. Always good to save periodically. I like that there's no risk of overwriting a multiplayer save.
Yeah.
Um, that's a that upset me when I did that with the hard siren. Although it will mean that I'll probably just outright update. I don't know. I feel bad about doing the U.S. single player at this point, anyways. And I really
Yeah.
one of
I
the
mean,
things
if you
is
still want to play it, you might as well. I don't mind.
yeah, but I'll guilt myself over it. Number one, no matter what. And number two is that I really wanted to kind of play with the new, because the devs they finally fixed the bug. They've been talking about doing
Oh
this
yeah.
forever, but they finally fixed it. I checked, and it's actually fixed now. Where
The build
when it
slot thing.
yeah, when a state changes ownership, and like let's say you had a generic nation of one state like Honduras, and you annex them, they would have 10 extra build slots, and then we have 5 after you did it. Say you were Mexico and you annexed Honduras.
Oh,
Now
what
they
is this?
now the build slots they have all 10 extra after they get annexed.
Yeah.
Or like as Japan, like that's why I got the non-aligned. I'm gonna attack Siam. That's literally gonna be the first thing I'm gonna do. And since I'll attack them so early, they shouldn't have had time to run most of their industry focuses. And I'm gonna split them in 3 because they're non-aligned, and Japan starts fascist. So before I flip non-aligned, I'm gonna create an independent fascist and a puppet fascist government, and that'll each one of them will still have whatever industry focuses haven't been taken yet, which is a lot more extra
Yeah.
build slots. And the ones that they did won't disappear even if the state change hand because the bug's been fixed. And then when I flip non-aligned, it does something weird with Japanese puppets because they have a special puppet type when they're fascist that's like called Imperial Associate, um,
Yeah.
which is easier, a little bit less autonomy to annex than a normal like puppet that a nation got. Well, actually, fascists just generally have easier time annexing their puppets. It takes a little less autonomy. But when just the way it works is they become a puppet that requires 0 autonomy to lower the autonomy of. But instead of becoming integrated puppets, for whatever reason, not only Japan can't have integrated puppets, so it just directly
Oh
annexes,
yeah.
which means
Huh.
any puppets you had when you flipped ideology are already eligible to be annexed. All you need is political power for it. So I can play around with that to maybe um, and you can do stuff like it used to be. You wouldn't want to annex states a lot of times because of the way it would generate world tension. Even though you can only justify war goals to annex states, but now you can annex a state and then give it to like a puppet that you already had, and actually get the benefit of having justified a war goal to annex a state without like just arbitrarily destroying build slots that would have still been around if you had instead given it directly to the puppet. Um, so it's just better. So like I can do this. I can split up Siam 3 ways. I can play with ownership of who controls Bangkok, so that they all get their chance to do their naval 3 free dockyards generic tree, and then
Yeah.
someday just run a collab network on the last remaining like independent Siam. Give them ownership of all the states, like including the ones that were I had annexed before then, because I'll just annex the puppet. Then invade the country, annex the whole thing. The collab network would give me some compliance, and then I own Siam with like 30 or 60% compliance, which low compliance states suck to like occupy because you need garrisons. You get very little of them, but high compliance states give you most of their factories and manpower. Well, they don't give you a lot, but you get more manpower and you get more of the factories. And if they get to 80%, you can build a collaboration government. Which, since non-aligned Japan can't get integrated puppets, they can't. The only way they're going to get industry out of puppets is through collaboration governments. So the long term plan is to get a Siamese collaboration government that gives me like decent amounts of industry. And until then, I'll probably just directly own the states because dockyards. Japan needs dockyards to build up their navy. So
Okay.
yeah, I've got this whole plan. Is the point? And like I could not do this before they fixed
Yeah.
the build slot bug.
Yeah.
Although
I see.
it's kind of
You
explained the way
just want
generic
to play on the
focus
latest
trees.
version.
What?
So you just really want to play on the latest
I
version of
have.
Mimic.
I just didn't want to. I didn't want to abandon our multiplayer game, but now I
Yeah.
accidentally overwrote the thing. And I feel bad about continuing the single player game because that was the one I accidentally overwrote the multiplayer with.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, and now I can play more of the games with like balkanizing countries for extra build slots that I'd always wanted to
Yeah.
do. Paradox games often have ways you can like use vassals or puppets or independent countries to like build things up. Like in Crusader Kings
Yeah.
2, if you split off, if you gave what was it? If you split off a part of your territory as like a fully independent country, they could build great works cheaper than if they were still part of your realm. In
Yeah.
in Stellaris, you can only build like one matter decompressor, or I think like two in certain once you get like a certain tradition or something. I forget tech. Uh, if you split off like if you break up your like empire into like break off 6 puppets, which is probably about the most vassals, which is about the most you can keep happy anymore, since you can no longer share destiny won't let you have unlimited puppets anymore. Or make them fully independent countries and just reconquer them later. You could each one of them could build a matter decompressor, and then you have 6 matter
Yeah.
decompressors or 6 Dyson spheres. Like what you
Yeah.
can't ever do in your own. So there's always ways to build taller. In Crusader Kings 2, great works became more expensive the more you already owned, especially of the same type.
Uh,
So the only way you're going to get like 5 cathedrals is by like releasing parts of your own realm and letting them build cathedrals, and then.
yeah.
Plus, in that game, you play as a dynasty, not as a realm, so you can very easily end up as like the ruling dynasty of different realms and just, directly by getting conquered or switching allegiances. Point is that
Mhm.
there's always been ways to take advantage of the borders, and I don't know. I think this has something to do with Nordic history and like a uniquely Swedish perspective. I don't know, but there always seems to be like there are advantages to a piece of land conquering and changing
Yeah.
hands many times. And I think that's because like the Nordics have been like Finland was owned by Russia, and then it was owned by Sweden, and it's an independent country. It was like all over. Or it was owned by Sweden, then owned by Russia, then an independent country. Norway used to be owned by Sweden essentially at one point, and then it became an independent country. And I don't know. I think they just want to. Every country on Earth in our world today seems to always want to make their own history like the best thing that could have happened to them, or at least like uniquely virtuous. So they all try and find a silver lining, or why they were the good guys in their own history. No one ever teaches history unless it says we were the bad guys.
Well,
And,
except for the Germans.
yes, but that was because that was essentially forced on
Yeah,
them.
the one exception.
Yes, and even then you have like the AFD pricks who are trying to claim the Nazis weren't bad.
Yeah,
It's like, oh my God.
yeah.
But it took literal Hitler for a nation to say, okay, maybe we were the
Okay,
bad
maybe.
guys.
Yeah, maybe we messed up there.
Even the Italians don't teach that Mussolini was the bad guy, especially with the
Yeah.
fascist government in charge of Italy now.
All right.
Like the neo-fascist, because I don't know that the neo that they believe in some of the tenets of fascism, but you also don't see like brown shirts or whatever marching down, black shirts marching
Yeah.
down the street. Because brown shirts with Nazis, black shirts with the Italian fascists. You don't see black shirts like beating up trade unions. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit. I think I saw
Aren't they
some.
just like sympathetic to Mussolini, the
They
current prime
are,
minister?
and they're really overfunding like the police and starting to build the
Uh,
military. So there are some really dangerous, but to be fair, it took Mussolini like 12 years to like get from when he took power to like I think it was 1926 or something he took power, you know. So it took him a long
yeah.
time to like turn Italy into the like dictatorship and like absolute, he was consolidating his rule for a long time. So we'll see where Italy is in 12 years if the fascists are still in charge, but the neo-fascists, they're more diplomatically keen. They know if they just like if they just start having military parades like every week, they know that like the rest of the world is gonna get very scared. So they're fascists, but
Yeah.
they're 21st century fascists, which means they're still gonna murder people and conquer countries, but they're gonna probably do it much more carefully, and they're probably gonna attack Muslims because the rest of Europe doesn't care if they like invade Libya and decide to annex it again or something. Which Libya used to be an Italian colony.
Yeah.
And now Libya is like literally a failed government with like open air slave markets because of the Western bombing campaign there. So if Italy marches in and says we're
Yeah. When they
restoring
overthrew
order to,
Gaddafi.
yeah, now that Gaddafi's gone and like doesn't have a government, like they could probably march in and say, look, we're the good guys, we're bringing order and we're getting rid of the slave markets, just
Yeah.
conveniently by turning Libya into a colony again. And the rest of Europe would turn a blind eye because they're Muslims and there's a lot of racism.
Oh yeah.
Huh. Lost Mariners
Yeah.
and mermaids on that. Shrine to the
It's
Fickle Mermaid.
it's it's almost kind of funny. Like I'm pretty sure I saw something about the Italian prime minister criticizing French imperialism because all their meddling causes like refugees to flee to Italy. Like wow, what a reason to criticize imperialism. Jeez.
Yeah, they don't like that like France still messes with Algeria, and this is part of
Yeah.
why people still leave like Algeria for Italy and stuff, and
Yeah.
Syria
Or like the
obviously.
entirety of West Africa, really,
So
for
many
much
people
of
don't know their
history.
history, so they don't know that Syria used to be a French colony. Anyways,
Yeah.
so I've been looking at your builder over on the. Looks like it soaked most of its movement building that watchtower. Shoot, I
Yeah.
thought it would still have full movement
I
after
didn't know that.
building,
Oh well, that's fine.
but at least you got visibility on the shrine to the fickle mermaid.
Yeah.
That's
This is
not
a
very
good
good.
good watchtower place.
It is more
There's
visibility than I thought it would. You can see a little bit to the southeast, like if
yeah.
some brigands pop up there, you'll see it now. And you can see what's on that crystal tree.
Ooh,
So it
yeah.
provides some benefit. I don't know. I had been thinking it would see further maybe, and also if you did eventually build a little dwarven filler city nestled against the mountains, it will at least keep the city safer because you'll see if there's like a force coming in by sea or something.
Yeah.
So I guess defensive strategy, a kind of noob strategy is I'm going to put units in every city. A more advanced strategy is I'm going to put a small garrison in a city so that if just random brigands come along, but I'm going to have a bigger mobile force that can rush to wherever an enemy attacks so that I can actually meet them in force without having crippling costs of like maintaining huge garrisons in every city, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
So my Frostling found a box of cataclysms.
eh? Where? Box of cat?
On the river.
Oh, it's being guarded. I was to be like, I thought box of
What's what's
cataclysms.
a what's a cataclysm?
Oh, it's a bad thing.
So I
These,
don't want to pick this up unless I want to choose something that my enemies will be
y-
hurt
im-
by more than
I
myself.
yeah, I mean, I don't, I've experienced, I think they're negative world events, and I think I've experienced them once or twice.
Yeah.
They're not great. They can do harmful things like slow city growth or reduce mon income or something. I don't remember. They're not fun, but you can use them to hurt your enemies if you know what. Since you pick the cataclysm, you
You're a
can
little
try and.
sadomasochistic.
I mean, it's also you're gonna want to kill these air elementals eventually, anyways, and clear the site of that box of cataclysms potentially to build a city there or something. So eventually,
They can keep it.
for now, yeah, it's not a high priority. It also gives you 50 casting points. So if you're gonna have a big fight, you can use it to like have extra casting points going to big fights. So you can cast lots of spells.
Yeah.
So it's got its uses, especially
Should
for
I keep
me.
my eyes on these forests north of my capital? I could put some elf hunters up there.
The forest north of your capital,
Yeah.
there's nothing, no real danger there. It's just
No?
empty
Okay.
forest.
Units can't just spawn anywhere. They have to spawn in the like camp thingies.
I mean, I think there's some chance a ram spawns, but this is like temperate forest. I think it's more likely in like the
Yeah.
blight. You know,
Okay.
I
All right.
don't know. That maybe you could see some wild animals randomly pop out of nowhere. Like I guess you could see like a hostile boar or something. But you got better things to do as long as your capital's garrisoned. I think the bigger risk is something like those spiders I'm running from with my scout. If they cross the mountains, they could eventually find their way up there, like giant spiders.
Oh
Because
yeah.
remember, I got a spider. I mean, I got my tiger and scout was running across the mountains from like a what was it? I think it was a dread spider queen or a hunter spider queen, and like
Mm.
some of its offspring. Yeah, I'd be careful. That northeast corner of the map has some dangerous wildlife. It probably has an elder spawning circle, but it might have just been there since the beginning of the map or random. Oh yeah, and also looks like that's a brigand camp or volcano. There's something east of that frosting on the ship. It's at the edge of the map. You'll see it when you get closer.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
what
Yeah. I
that
see
is.
something there.
But yeah, the other frosting near the giant city. I mean, yeah, frosting
Oh,
does not.
should I put fertile growth on Mistdale now that it's my actual city?
How much
Or do
mana
you
do
think
you
it
have
does
a
need
turn?
it? I'm making 40 now. Or I could just summon more animals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about casting fertile because I need some mana. I mean, I may need to periodically
Yeah.
trade because I only
So
make you
maybe
eat
just
a
summon a
turn.
wild animal.
Yeah, I mean, you summoning animals, you can clear sites and stuff. Your military
Yeah, that's true.
needs.
I do
I
need
mean,
to clear these sites near Mistdale.
and you're already running fertile domain on like what, three
4 cities.
cities, four
Yeah.
cities: Sterone, Eleanor, Falsuriel, and where?
And then the not Galbrand. What's mine? My dwarven
Fugold.
city? Fugold, yeah, that one. 4 of them already, so I could cancel Fugold's. They are a town, and they're not elven, so they don't need it as badly.
Um, I mean, you're gonna probably be spamming settlers out of
That's
Fugold
true. I do
eventually,
need dwarven settlers, so yeah, I
and
should actually
those
keep it.
each cost like 2,000 population or something. I
Yeah.
think.
You're right. It'll shrink up. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I would build a buffer so that it stays a town even after you build a bunch of settlers.
All
Otherwise,
right.
it'll become a village again, and then you lose. I think. What's barely in your domain of Fugold. Then you lose the inn, and eventually the train post once you clear it. And heck, you'll eventually get the ancient ruins when it becomes. If you build a stone wall around the city or an observatory. Yes, you can build observatories underground. No, it doesn't make any sense.
They're just looking at the ceiling.
They're
They're learning
studying the
about the
cave ceiling. Yeah, maybe
yeah.
there's weird crystals up there or something, like you see in some fantasy.
Yeah.
Um, if you've ever seen Is It Wrong to Kill I mean, to pick. Is it wrong to kill? Sorry, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon and ask to kill? Like what? That's it's an anime series, and there's like a
Yeah.
floor in the dungeon where there's like like crystals in the ceiling that are make it as bright as day.
Oh yeah.
It's a fun anime. I've never been huge in anime because some of it can be weird and perverted, but I like that one
Yeah.
because it's got some real character development and it's more
Yeah.
normal. Um, in fact, I did watch Attack on Titan. I thought it was gross, the body horror. I didn't like it. The
Oh
way
yeah.
they did the Titans in the end. I kept cringing at it, but watched it
Mm.
because there was some interesting character developments. But in the end, I'm not sure I liked it as much as. I've only ever watched a handful of anime. And and Jobless Reincarnation, but the main character is really kind of gross and perverted, so
Yeah.
I also cringe at that. But is it wrong? The main character, isn't a total pervert. The women actually act like real human beings, and I don't know. There's just less dipshit fan service stuff, so it's been
Yeah.
okay to watch. I generally don't like
Yeah.
anime, but that show was pretty good.
Yeah. I
Um,
hate when I feel like stuff's trying to pander to me.
yeah, it's like
But
treat the
yeah.
audience like they're adults. But yeah, if you
Mhm.
move further southeast, by that, give people something to watch here instead of talking about anime. And I'm sure some of our
Right.
audience loves anime, so. But yeah, I think part of the reason is that Japanese and Korean culture is very. I don't know. The only respectable thing to do with your time is to work 16-hour days, kind of culture. So if you're watching anime,
Yeah.
you're a child. Is I think the implication in that
They've
culture.
they've got their issues.
Although, believe it or not,
Nobody's having kids
Americans
over there. Well, in Japan anyway.
Americans work more hours than the Japanese. They do.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been that way, but as U.S. capitalism has degenerated and working conditions have gotten a bit better in Japan, Americans have for at least like the last 12 years worked more hours than the average person in Japan now.
Mm.
Korea is weird because there's like a lot of like Uber economy type stuff, so it's hard to get a good count
Oh
on how
yeah.
many hours people actually work there, and they probably still work more
Right.
hours than Americans. But in Japan, where most people still go to work for a single business and work there their whole lives, like you'll be pulling 60-hour weeks day in day in day out, but in America,
Yeah.
you'll switch from employer to employer, and because you're new, you'll be working 64-hour weeks. So a lot of times you'll be working two jobs. In Japan, you just work overtime for one employer. It's a little more stability there. But
Mm.
anyways, near the
Should I?
giant city, I would explore because
Which one? The
the
giant city?
frosting. Yeah, I was looking
Oh,
over at the
Bulgur.
frosting. Yeah,
Right.
because yeah, I would because that's where my camera is. I can't follow where your camera is, so that's the unit I was
Yeah.
currently looking at. Just see
Where do you
what's
think I
that.
should send him?
Southeast. You want to stay near the river because you may need to board a ship real quick to avoid enemies.
Okay.
Because there is that brigand camp.
I could get on the river and start sailing down it.
Yeah, I'd probably move east and just start sailing down the river at this point. It looks like it diverges. I didn't know which way. And there's a
Looks like
treasure
there's a mountain
chest.
there.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
treasure
there's a treasure
chest.
chest?
Yeah, do you see it on the river? So if
No.
it's there, it's at the edge of the fog of war. But if you move
Oh,
east,
yeah, I just barely see that. You're right. I should definitely go get that.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something nice. And usually on
Probably
the
gold.
river, yeah, or gold or mana or an item. And if it's on a river, it's probably undefended, unlike on land where there's often things defending, stuff like that. So, might as well
All
pick
right,
it
what
up.
should I do with my armies in Mistdale? I kind of want to clear this. Uh, what you call it, Magma Forge that I just occupied, but I don't
Uh,
know if I've got the health for it. My armies
I,
are still a little weak.
We'll do it to fix now. I just noticed you could have, it soaks all your movement when you board that you could have moved one tile further and then get on a ship, like, or even two.
Oh, I could have.
Yeah, your frosting could have moved further before boarding a boat to reach that thing faster. It's too late. You
I
wasted
don't
some
know.
movement. Because it soaks all its movement when it gets on a boat, even though it's got
Yeah,
faster
but I
mark.
I thought that was as far as you could go.
Oh, let's see.
I don't
Fast
know.
embark.
I didn't really
Doesn't pay any extra
do a
movement
turn
when
per turn.
disembarking. Yeah, no, you could have moved further. Because I think it had 14 movement, and then it lost all its remaining movement when it got on a ship. It definitely had
Hmm.
more. Anyways, too late now, but you could have gone closer before boarding the ship. What were you looking at now?
My army's in Mistdale. Do you think I can take this magma forge, or do you think they need to heal?
I'd let him heal. I don't see any reason. You got to keep a garrison here because there's a cave entrance right next to Miss Dale. It's actually in the city's domain,
Oh
and you
yeah.
don't know what's wandering around
Okay.
down there. There's like spiders, and there's that Archon city, which you're at war with, I think, right? Zaratham.
Yeah,
I don't
I think
think
so.
Zaratham will spawn hostile units, but I'm not completely sure. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know the rules on spawning. I don't know if ram spiders will spawn underground or not, or if it's just that some appear at the map generation and once you kill them, there's nothing left. I don't know, but
Yeah.
there is a goblin nation and they can just randomly tunnel. I don't know if the AI is smart enough to do it, but if nothing
Can I
else, you could
conquer Zeratham?
an Archon city. Hell no, it's
Yeah.
way too strong for you to deal with right now.
Hmm.
They probably have
Okay.
like a Titan, and they'll definitely have a bunch of projectile resistant units and units that can
Oh yeah.
heal. Like their support units can heal undead, and they're all undead. Most their warriors are like skeletal, and like arrows pass right through them, and they're armored and they have shields. Like no,
Okay.
your longbowmen are pretty much useless against them. Your melee units are gonna have a tough time even because they're pretty defensive and they can heal. You need a powerful army to deal with Archons. They're
Yeah. So
not
I'd need
easy
to.
foes. I say this from experience, having tried to attack Archons before and gotten stacks wiped. They are not easy
Oh.
enemies.
Shit.
Yeah, because I played
All
this
right.
game before this. So, yeah, your army down in the Blight, though, near Share the Bard, uh,
Oh yeah.
let's,
Should I head over to Trequium, check out that quest?
Trequiem.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe we can work on it together in a couple turns. Now that
Yeah, I've
since
got
you've got
an army
that
going that
that under
way. I might
control.
see what's down there. Are you at war with Facilis, the Naga, or
Um.
they're probably at war with you?
Yes.
They're
Yeah, I am. I gotta keep my distance.
oh yeah.
There is a necromantic circle I could clear, so it doesn't cause issues for my builder.
I would leave it because it'll probably mess with the goblins more than you. And oh, for your
You
builder.
sure? Because they're pretty close to me, and I don't see any goblins yet.
Oh yeah, you were gonna send a builder, and yeah, and you'd otherwise have. You probably need to leave
Hmm.
a garrison for that fort anyways. So close to Blight, and at that point, lost souls are just free XP if you're defending like a fort.
Yeah.
Uh, This is probably a decent time to split the stack, and actually there's some ancient runes you could probably clear with your army. I think you can reach it this turn. Yeah. Let's see. Uh, who do you want to defend the fort with in your builder? Um, the Nishit's not very good, and neither is the Reed Serpent. Eh? And if you probably need more most of your other units. Okay, here's what I would do. Your builder doesn't have any movement this turn, and the reed serpent can swim. So I would send that
Yeah.
reed serpent. How many? Let's see. One, two, three, four, five. I would have the reed serpent hang out in the water next to where you're going to build the fort, and it can move on to land next turn, just so that if there is something hostile, it doesn't kill the lone reed serpent.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still got 9 movement left. Yeah, it could move one to the right to be closer to the builder, I guess. Uh, oh, it could get back on land in the forest, couldn't it?
Yep.
Oh yeah, might as well do that then. Or move one to the northeast. Maybe one. Trying to think. Yeah, I would just move on to the dense vegetation with the stupid thing. Like
All right.
have the reed serpent move east. That's far enough. Nothing should be there. Um, and I would probably send the. I would spawn an. Well, no, you don't. Because if the animal
I
you
can't
need to,
spawn an animal yet, but
I
next
would
turn.
Oh, you don't have the mana, or
No, this turn I converted an air node.
oh yeah, I was gonna say spawn another animal and see what you get. But when you build a fort, you can spawn animals in forts, right? So you'll be
I
fine.
don't know,
I
but
was gonna say
I've
if
got
you,
an animal in queue for a
yeah,
turn.
I was gonna say when you build the fort, like in a couple turns, because next turn you can start it and then it'll be done. You can probably defend the fort with a reed serpent and initiate and maybe like an animal.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Storm Sister at that point if you send it back after it's. But you'll probably need the Storm Sister to clear out the ancient runes. Uh, the Initiate's gonna level rank up soon. Yeah, I would send the rest of your units to those ancient runes.
All six of them.
Yeah, because of stack of six, and then whatever gets damaged, you might send back
The
to the fort to
to
heal.
explore this strong ancient ruins.
Yeah, it's always strong. You should be able to take it with 6 units, easy. And your
Okay.
reed serpent is there just to it's close to the builder, and it can also you could actually send it east over land and water and keep exploring. Like there's haste berries, so it could get pretty far if you really wanted to risk it.
Yeah.
It's up
Hmm.
to you if you just want to sit and keep it near where you're going to build the fort. Yeah, but you can clear
I
the
think I'll just keep
runes.
sending the
Yeah,
fort.
and if your units get beat up, the melons, like one of them's already regenerated, and two of them have one turn to regenerate, so you can use the melons to heal damaged
Oh yeah.
units. And
Okay.
there's also some kind of site to the southwest of Falsoriel. I'm not sure what's guarding it. I think had a tough garrison, but I don't remember. You see that thing with the tree? It's surrounded by like a henge.
Uh. Oh yeah, there is something there. Yeah. Hmm.
So maybe you can clear
Can't
that
quite
site
see it.
next. And there's also whatever that is west of.
Cheer can take a look at it after this fight.
Yeah, so there's a couple things to see over there, and then you can move your way through the Arctic terrain towards Trekwiam later, instead of
Yeah.
going near through the fog of war, which who knows what's through there. Could be something
Mm.
dangerous.
Ooh, this
Uh,
is. Should I clear this watchtower right here? That's a helpful watchtower. Right on the edge
what?
between the Arctic and the temperate.
Where?
I don't know what's in it yet, but that would be a good spot to have vision.
Sorry, I was looking at the runes. Where are you?
Just a couple tiles west of the ruins. There's a watchtower that would be really handy.
Oh, oh yeah. That I mean, some random wandering enemy will come and take it back eventually, but that at least tell you there's
Yeah.
something hostile in the area. Yeah, you can clear that later too. So lots of stuff to clear
Right.
here, and then there's the site for the fort to defend. It's probably safe enough for now until another set of wassals spawns, so you have a little time because it's probably on a cooldown. So you
Yeah.
can explore a little and then send some units. And you got that reed serpent which can explore along the edge of the water because very few enemy units can swim. So it could pop over to those haste berries and then just swim along the coast and could find out what's like. You see, there's a patch of fog of war still on the eastern side of the lake.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what's there. There might be treasure sites or who knows.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
Reed Serpent can do. Let me save though before you start this fight, and I need to cut the video too because it's
All right.
already an hour and 19 minutes. All right, folks on YouTube, I wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. May you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Adieu.